Brandon.
And my name is Wing.
We just wanted to share with Trinity Life our story of grace. This July, Wing and I would have been married for 3 years. It's been a great ride, and like any great ride, there's ups and downs.
So starting in February of 2013, we felt it was time to expand our family. And this was an exciting prospect for us. And we were just excited and full of joy about the prospect of having a new child in our life. And growing up for me, I always knew that I wanted children. It was not a matter of if we'd have children, but more so how many.
For me, it was a feeling of anxiety. For me, growing up without a father, that really affected me a lot. The prospect or the idea of having kids brought on a certain amount of emotion, different type of emotions for me. However, years ago, as I was kind of walking in the faith, I came to the conclusion and to the realization that I wouldn't allow what has happened to me in the past dictate how I would respond and how I would live my life. So I committed to Wing, I committed to God to really use that part of my life to glorify God in the aspect of having a kid.
Yeah, so we started planning for a child, and I started praying. We started praying to God and just for His provision, and also preparing myself mentally and physically for the changes that were to come.
So around February of 2013, we started trying. So month after month we would try, but kind of unsuccessfully, and obviously that created a lot of frustration, worry, doubt in our minds and our hearts. No questions of why is it so long? Is there something medically wrong? Is just a lot of whys, right? We're doubting.
And so I didn't expect to conceive the first few months, but as the months went on, it just became more and more difficult. I became more and more anxious and more disappointed. And doubts about if I'd ever conceived started to, enter my mind. And it seemed like nothing was happening. And so I guess I started taking things into my own hands. What could I do personally to, help with conception? And I started relying on myself and just relying on what I could do. And that also proved to be unsuccessful.
Yeah, a few months into this whole process, being unsuccessful in conceiving a child, it took a toll on me as a man, and kind of thinking about why can't I do this kind of thing. I reached out, I had to humble myself, and I reached out to 4 guys in which I respect and I admire, 4 men in various life stages, just to pray for me and to pray for us and to pray for a future child. So I emailed them and I just kind of put it out there, and they were great brothers, and they were like, hey, we'll pray and we'll do our thing on your behalf, and we'll come before God on your behalf to ask for a child for you and Wing.
So it was October 23rd. We are at a Body Life group, and that night we were challenged and encouraged to pray boldly for something, something that we wanted to see God do, the impossible, and expect God to answer and expect God to do something about it. So immediately I thought of our desire for a child, and so quietly and privately, silently, I prayed to God, and I asked God for this child. And just praying on my own, I was already getting emotional. I was getting teary-eyed. And I remember saying to God, I'm not ready to share this with the rest of the group, with the rest of the people people here. I don't know them that well. I was just starting to get to know them. And so I told God, I was like, maybe not tonight, maybe another night. I'll share this openly. And at that time, I didn't know that Brandon had actually told somebody in the room that we were praying for a child. And then suddenly, this person had turned to us and asked us to pray for a child, a baby. And I just fell on my knees, and I just was broken at that point, because I knew that God wanted me to share this with everybody else in this room. And I knew that if I was gonna start vocalizing this in a prayer, I would get really emotional, and it just wouldn't be pretty. I'd start the ugly cry. And so it was actually really scary for me, but I knew that that's what God had wanted from me, that He wanted me to be vulnerable. He wanted me to be open and honest with my struggle and with our struggle. And He wanted us to be transparent with this community. And so I remember that God put the desires to have children in my life, in our lives, for a reason. They were put there by Him. And so both of us that night, we cried out to God, and yeah, we were just both really broken, and we wept, and we asked for a baby. And we were prayed over by others that night. And I remember that they were very specific. They said, this time next year, we want to see a baby in our lives. And so thinking back, if we kept this request to ourselves, others would not be able to rejoice and celebrate with us, and they would not know that this child was really from God and a blessing from God. And others wouldn't know that, what God desires is, what we desire. And He wants good things for us and all of His children. And He also wanted our community to know that our God is still a God of miracles, and He is the Creator, and He is the one that gives life.
So shortly after you were prayed on and kind of we submitted to God, our requests and Body Life helped us with that. This happened. So come September of 2014, the Trinity Life family will be growing by.
You're the joy, joy, joy.